Hi guys, so this morning I totally put together a face mask, and I know there's lots of confusing, conflicting information out there about face masks. Are they necessary? Do they actually help? And I'm not here to tell you what is and what isn't true because disclaimer, I am not a healthcare professional at all. I don't have anything to do with the medical field. I love to sew, and I love the idea that, hey, you can sew one of these on your own using things from your house if you feel like you have decided it works for you to have a mask. So with that disclaimer, I want to show you how to draft this out on your own, and a few things that you need from around your house are a dinner plate and a pencil and some paper, and then some kind of ruler. So I have this fancy one for sewing, but any ruler will do. You just need to be able to measure out inches. And then, yeah, let's get started on the drafting. Okay, so first thing I've done here, I've drawn a rectangle. This rectangle is 6 inches by 5 inches. I'm actually going to use this marker so you can see it a little bit better on the video. And that's going to be like the base for what all the other stuff that we do on this. Next, I'm going to grab my dinner plate. Dinner plate just because it has a more gradual curve to it. I used a dessert plate earlier and that was a little bit too sharp of a curve, but I'm going to line up my dinner plate edge with the 2 corners of the rectangle that I just drew here on the left side. I'm actually not going to use the marker because I don't want to mark my plate up. So I penciled that in, and now I'll just go over it with a marker. Okay, the next line that I'm going to draw, or the next curve, I'm actually going to go 2 inches, measure 2 inches down right here on this left side. And now I'm going to line up the same dinner plate with this top corner and the mark that I just made 2 inches in. So this is actually going to be our new cutting line now. This is going to be our cutting line. This, just for reference, is the nose part of our mask. It's going to fit over our nose. This is where the mouth is going to be, and this is going to be under the chin. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just cut it out. Actually, I'm going to show you. Okay, just want to show you where we're at with this draft that we have. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this pattern out on the cutting line. Okay, so there's one last step to this pattern piece. We are going to, remember this is the nose. We are actually going to trim this off because when I was drafting it earlier today, it was just a little bit too high on the nose and not quite high enough or low enough for the chin. So measure about 1 inch down from that tip of the nose, and you're gonna cut that off. You're gonna cut that piece off of the nose so that it still raises up, but you're actually gonna tape the piece that you just cut off down on the bottom of the chin. To keep it in perspective, this is the part that's going to be closest to the ear. This is going to be the center of your face. So tape that on there. And now your pattern piece is ready for cutting into the fabric. So now we have our pattern piece ready. And again, this part here is the chin, the part that we've kind of Frankensteined together with some tape. This part is the nose, And so I want my mask to be 2 layers. I want it to be cotton on the outside, and then I actually have like a nylon blend for the inside. This is an athletic fabric, so it is like a nylon mesh, a lot like a jersey. So if you have an old pair of shorts or an old pair of, or an old basketball or soccer jersey around the house that you're not using anymore, totally utilize it for this layer. And this is going to be the layer that's closer to your face, so it won't stick as you're wearing it for a while. It's kind of like a nice breathable inner layer that won't drive you nuts like the cotton will. So I'm going to cut out with the cotton first. I doubled up these layers so that I'm actually cutting 2 pieces. And I have a rotary cutter in matte, but you can totally, pin it to your cotton. And for sources of cotton, you can use an old shirt, like a button-up shirt, or I don't know, go into your closet and see, old sheets might work, or an old tote bag if you don't have just yards of fabric around the house, like I happen to because I love to sew. Okay, so now I have 2 pieces that are mirror image. And again, this is going to be the center of the mask, and I'll show you how to sew that together in a second, but I'm gonna cut out my second layer. Again, I am folding this because I want 2 pieces that are mirror image to each other. So okay. And now we're ready to stitch each of these center seams on both of the layers of my mask. So we are going to stitch 1/4 of an inch all the way down this curve, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so with right sides together, right sides meaning the side that you want up against your face. Oh, no, I've got to start again. Okay, so with right sides together, we're going to stitch this curved edge from the nose down to the chin with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, which is usually the edge of the presser foot here. So and as always with curves, you want to clip the curve, which means you're just going to cut kind of to the stitching line, but definitely don't go past the stitching line or you'll wind up with holes. But the curve needs to be clipped because as you turn it right side out, you want it to lay nicely and not pull in a funny way. So that's a little sewing tip for you if you're not familiar with sewing. And then while I have it with the right sides together, I'm going to take each edge. Remember, this is the edge that's going to be closest to the ear. And I'm actually going to roll it inward twice. So 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, double roll. And I'm going to stitch that edge down. We call that finishing the edges. So we're finishing the edges that are going to be closer to the ears on both sides. So this is my inner layer. As you can see, it's like that mesh that I had. This is my inner layer, and I've already done the same thing with my outer layer, the layer that's going to be showing on the outside of the mask. And then make sure all your curves are clipped on this one as well. Mine wasn't, so I'm going to do that really fast. And then we're going to just press press out this seam on both pieces. Okay, I have both layers. I pressed this seam out just because when it's laying nice and flat, it's easier to move on to the next step. So here's the outer layer, here's the inner layer, and I have them both, oh wait, okay, I have both of them oriented with the nose at the top, here and here. So now I'm gonna do right sides together, meaning this finished, beautiful side is gonna be on the inside now. And same with this. So you have all these raw pieces poking out of both sides, right? So right sides together. I'm gonna pin them where the seams line up at the top here at the nose. Put a pin in there and put pins wherever you need to hold them together. But you're gonna stitch this side and this bottom chin edge. You're gonna stitch both of those at 1/4 an inch as well. So your seam allowance is 1/4 an inch, and stitch both the top, meaning the nose side, and then we'll do that bottom edge as well. Okay, now the mask layers are together, and I will clip these curves as well. They aren't as curved as that front seam, but they are a little bit curved, so I like to put a few snips in there. Just remember, again, don't go past that stitching. Now you are gonna open it up at one of the ends where the ears are and flip it right side out. And do you see how this edge, this side of the mask is nice and finished. This side is nice and finished as well. And we're gonna go ahead and press this out so that the top and the bottom are nice and crisp and smooth and lay together nicely. Next, after I'm gonna go press that out, I'm not gonna take you with me. Next, after we do that, we're actually gonna stitch a casing at the top and at the bottom. So at the nose and at the chin, we're gonna do a casing for elastic. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I've pressed this out and see how much better it lays together. So we are going to sew a casing for the elastic, which just means a little like pocket, right? For the elastic to go on the top and on the bottom of the mask. We're gonna do that more like 3/8 of an inch in so that we allow plenty of room for the elastic to fit in there. So 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so now I have stitched both of my casings. Be sure when you do the casings that you double stitch at the beginning of your seam and at the end just to keep that from pulling apart. So do that on both casings that you do. And then we're ready for the elastic. Okay, so I went and grabbed my elastic. This is 1/8 of an inch. It's soft stretch baby elastic. I say stick with 1/8 of an inch elastic or even 1/4 of an inch works. This is just nice and stretchy and kind of comfortable around the ears, so I really like it. But also I'm a big advocate for using what you have around the house. So if you look to old clothing that has some narrow elastic in the hem or in the waistband, or just be resourceful if you have something around the house that will work. But I use about 20 inches, roughly, about 20 inches of the elastic for the top, and then another 20, woo! Oops. Another 20 for the bottom. And I just want to show you how I feed the elastic through here. So I have a trusty safety pin that I'm going to hook onto the edge of this elastic. And now I'm going to put the safety pin through my casing, and it's going to feed the elastic through the whole thing. So it's pretty quick, pretty easy. there it is for the nose edge of the mask. And I'm going to feed it through the chin edge as well. And what I mean by that is, as the mask sits on your face, this part that has a little bit more of a peak to it is going to be the nose. And this is super fun for kids to do if your kids want like a little crafty project. I'm not sure why my elastic's not fitting through that side, so we'll go through this side and feed this elastic through the bottom. Okay, that's not gonna fit through, is it? Oh, it did. A little bit easier to come from that end. So just make sure you have these openings big enough to fit the elastic through. And there you have the elastic. Lastly, you're gonna just measure according to who is gonna be wearing this mask. You're gonna kind of custom fit it to, this should fit like most ages, I'd say 12 and older. So 12 on to adulthood should fit this mask. If you're gonna adjust it for kid size, I would take it down maybe, you know, 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch smaller. But that's up to you. That's if you want it a little bit more custom fit, but this is like one size fits most. You're gonna knot it where it fits best around the ears. I did at first put the elastic around the circumference of my head, and I found that the mask just didn't stay on as well as when you just do it around your ears. Okay, so I have finished my mask. I put knots at both ends of the elastic where it was most comfortable for me. I'll try it on for you really fast. So the benefit to having the elastic at the top of the face and at the bottom is just to hug it to your face, keeps it in closer. And if you want to add like an extra filter, I've read in places, some people have used like Kleenex tissue, and some have used actually like a dried out baby wipe. Wash it first so you're not breathing through the baby wipe chemicals or anything like that, which hopefully should be minimal, they're baby wipes. But this pocket right here that you have now, kind of down the center of your two casings, you can slip in some added filter if that's what you want to do. And that is a part that you can like take out and throw away after each use. And then you can wash the rest of the mask. I think I would wash it after every single use, but again, I'm not a healthcare professional, and that is completely up to you and what your comfort level is and what you want to do or what's recommended. But that added layer is actually, I've been told that it's like a non-woven layer that adds another dimension of filtering, which if it helps at all, why not? So there you have it.